Hello everybody. Welcome to Dialogues for Change. Life is not a void to be filled. It is a plenitude to be discovered. Today I would like to share with you some very thought-provoking and inspiring thoughts by Peter Raine on the Shaman and the Ecologist. Thoughts that he has developed in his PhD thesis, and I think which are actually now already published also as a book. Some years ago, I attended an informal pre-hearing meeting on a contested development proposal which required resource consents for construction of a geothermal power station in the northern part of New Zealand. Apart from some other concerned citizens and myself, there were representatives of the developers, some geologists and spokespeople for the local Maori tribe, Ngāpuhi. The main point of contention was the possible negative impact upon a series of naturally occurring hot springs, which not only have medicinal and recreational value, but also are considered to be sacred places by certain Ngāpuhi elders. The proposal involved drilling deep wells in order to tap pressurized and superheated geothermal fluid. Not only was this fluid separated from the surface by a thick layer of rock, but also, as test drills had shown, it was highly toxic. The trial drills had already affected the pressure system, which resulted in changes to the hot spring, and the spillage had totally destroyed native vegetation surrounding the test site. Geologists employed by the developers gave their description of the geothermal field according to scientific principles and presented a reasoned and logical elucidation of the situation. Following this, Ngāpuhi elder, or Kaumatua, offered his people's understanding of the field, which is known to them as Ngawa, hot place. To Ngāpuhi, the springs are only a small part of the wider volcanism of the area, and each hot spot, cinder cone and rhyolite dome, was named in connection with an underground taniwa, spirit nature being. The hot springs existed because this was the place where a spine rising from the taniwa's back burst surface. To Ngāpuhi, the wider geothermal field is all connected to the surrounding landscape, and the Kaumatua believed that drilling holes into the earth at this point would not only spoil the hot springs, but also upset the harmony of the whole region, apart from the danger inherent in such activities. The assorted group of scientists, developers, planners, and local people of European origin went on to discuss pragmatic matters without seriously considering the Kaumatua's presentation. They effectively paid lip service to the Ngāpuhi view, which was an equally coherent, although radically different description of the situation. The problem was that while the two parties were talking about the same geothermal region, they were offering entirely different explanations for its composition and origins. So different, in fact, that there was no dialogue, because in this case the inherent intelligibility of the Ngāpuhi view was disregarded by the scientists and others who, without realizing it, believe that their description of reality is the only valid one. What was so striking about the whole situation was that each description, according to its own set of criteria, presented an entirely legitimate worldview. Yet the Western scientific perspective was sanctioned, and the Ngāpuhi view was relegated to the realm of myth. The non-Maori New Zealanders did not stop to question the validity of their own presentation in relation to that of the Ngāpuhi elder. Indeed, they did not seriously question any of their own assumptions and presuppositions. Matters of fact take precedence over so-called mythological presentations in the Western worldview. When environmental issues are raised in general conversation as depicted in the above narration, most of the associated questioning is of a static nature. People tend to concentrate on what is happening on the environmental scene, the facts of the given matter of issue. Sometimes there is an occasional questioning as to why environmental degradation seems to continue unabated, but rarely are there any serious attempts to suggest how we are going to solve these problems. By we, I mean any we, because it is no longer appropriate to suggest that one group of people belonging to a particular culture or a certain way of perceiving reality can provide solutions to complex environmental problems. The how question raises the issue of intercultural communication, because although all peoples inhabit the same earth, not all of them describe or relate to the earth in the same ways. For some peoples, the environment is sacred. For others, it is a source of philosophical inspiration. And for yet others, it is a matter of scientific fact or a source of economic materials. These diverse claims lead to a very important question. Who will be responsible for guarding our life-giving earth from harm? This question is, of course, a transformational question, because it can ultimately lead to a deep inquiry into one's own way of perceiving reality. It means we may need to question our own fundamental assumptions and presuppositions. It has long been assumed that Western-style rationality is the sole criterion for discerning truth about any given matter. Yet it is now becoming increasingly obvious that there are different ways of perceiving reality, many of which may be wholly incommensurable to each other. The how question leads us to look at the foundations of intelligibility, which act as the horizon for development of worldviews, including our own. Before modern environmental guardians can emerge, dialogue between different worldviews must be undertaken, so as to ascertain those who are capable of speaking and acting for their places and the issues which concern them. It is no longer acceptable to suggest that one group, culture, or nation can decide how another may relate to the natural world, even less so to expect them to follow the Western example. The Shaman and the Ecologist. Very, very thought-provoking, deep-going questions on how to build intercultural dialogues on our environment, but also more generally on the way that we want to live together on our home, the earth. Thank you.